I don't take for granted the chance to learn from badass women who've lived it and owned it. And today you get to hear from one of them. This woman is not just an Aussie sporting legend, but one of the fiercest competitors that beach volleyball has ever seen. Nat Cook, OAM, OLY, is a five-time Olympian and gold medalist and a mate of mine. So beyond the sand, she's a businesswoman, an author, mentor, and a tireless advocate for women and particularly women in sport. And she's dedicated her life to showing what's possible when you play all in on and off the court. And she is a great mate that I deeply respect. And one of the things I love the most about her is that she's grounded, she's practical, and she'll call bullshit when it's needed. And that's what the world needs, more Nat Cooks. Hey, Nat Cook.
Hey Jen, I love it. Badass and
Totally badass.
shit. And the best part of that intro was that I'm a mate of yours, so that's all that is important.
Yeah, it's a lot of the world, or a lot of Australia particularly, knows you as the bikini wearing beach volleyball bloody legend in the Sydney Olympics. 25 years ago, you just celebrated
I know.
winning gold medal.
Yeah, there's no more bikini wearing. Let me tell you, I'm in little bike shorts though, and more of crop tops when I go to the beach.
Yep.
Yeah, those bikinis are an interesting choice of uniform for a workplace for 25 years. But yeah, it is a very special time, and we've just celebrated the 25-year anniversary. And I flew into Sydney. I took family and friends and hung out with Kerry and the team to reminisce. And very, very grateful that we can still keep talking about it. And not only that, the country still wants to hear about it because for most of us in the right generation, it was a special time in Sydney and Australia.
Yeah, it really was. Um, can I ask something on the bikini? I wasn't going to ask about the bikini, but I just thought, for real, because so many women struggle with that. The
Mm.
whole, let alone you're doing it on the world stage. Was that a brain fart for you initially, and then you just kind of get used to it?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I would train in shorts and singlets, and then, at some point, the coach and my volleyball partner, who was 10 years older than me at the time, when I first started at the age of, like I was a teenager, I was
Yeah.
like 18, and having to be told that that was what I had to wear if I wanted to compete at a high level. So I just ignored it for a little while and wore singlets and shorts, and then they said, look, you might as well practice in it so that when you get to competition, it's not as kind of intrusive to myself and others. And
Yeah.
I guess that's what happened. But as you train, so I got used, it was very uncomfortable early on, got used to it. And then I do now believe it is the best uniform for our sport. You don't want all that clumps of sand up your bike shorts and in your crutch and sandpaper and the chafing, and so less is more, but it is understandably for younger athletes and people coming into the sport not a choice of uniform you would want to make.
Mm. So I know that you didn't originally plan to be a beach volleyballer.
Exactly, never.
Tell us that story because I love it.
Well, it's I played a lot of sport at school. Every single sport that the PE teacher would throw at me, I picked up and was good at it. And therefore they loved having me in school sport, in representative sport. And so the only one at school that nobody could play was volleyball. And so it just happened to be a volleyball trip for the girls, and for the boys, it was soccer. Now let's go back a step. They were taking a boys' soccer team to Canada because the PE teacher was Canadian uh, in school hours for school trip,
Not school holidays.
not school holidays, and no girls' team. So the girl cohort erupted and said, that's not fair. I mean, this is back in
I was gonna,
1988.
I was going to say, what year was that?
Yeah, long time ago, 88. And the teacher sort of caved and said, all right, I'll take a girls' volleyball team. Now, up goes the sign that said volleyball trip to Canada and America. And I read the word Disneyland and I think this is my ticket to Disneyland. And of course it was. I went and had the best time. We weren't very good at volleyball. We got beaten at every time we played, but it was about the trip. I fell in love with travel. I fell in love with the fact that the sport consumed my mind as to why I couldn't play it. So I put my head on the pillow at night and I'd be like, why do we try and put the ball forward and it goes sideways? And everyone was in the same boat. So it usually people pick their sport because they love it or they're good at it. So it wasn't either of those for me. It was because I was trying to wrestle with it and try and master it. And I spent the next 25 years trying to do that, Jen. I got pretty good there for a while.
5 Olympics. That's a giant chunk of life. If it, it's given you a million things, including a post career where you've mindfully crafted all that kind of stuff as well. But what do you think was a personality or your inner kind of trait thing that you got most out of it, apart from that practical stuff of medals and career and stuff?
Yeah,
Growth.
I think I mean, we hear the word resilience all the time, right? And it is something most people want. When I speak on stage, they say, can you talk about teamwork and resilience? They're the two main things. And my line for resilience is you can't buy it off the shelf at the supermarket. Most people want that. They want the ease. They want to just go and like, okay, I'll go and pick that up off the supermarket shelf, put it in my backpack, and I've got it. You can't. The only way to get that is to fall over and get back up and fall over and get back up and then actually think you've nailed this thing and then fall over again and then
Mm.
lay there for a while and cry and scream and blame people and self-doubt and all of that fear and maybe it's not for me and who all of those things go through your head and then you get back up again. So the number one attribute over 5 Olympics, 20 years, literally from 18 to 38, was that it's okay to fail. It's okay to scrape your knee. It's okay to come last. It's okay to come second, and then get up and keep going. So I now know I'm not as attached to failure. Um, I am attached to winning. I do love it. It's one of my highest core values, winning and winning at everything. I really believe that winning is not a score on the scoreboard. It's actually an attitude and it's a mindset. And therefore, you can, if you choose, you can win at everything. And I do that, which frustrates the hell out of my mates because they don't
You
know
win at
how,
everything.
and they don't know how that works because most of the time when you lose, the first thing everyone thinks is doubt and I'm not good enough and shame and embarrassment and someone else is better than me. And all those things go through the human brain before it says, well, hey, actually, maybe I could win tomorrow. But why can't you win when you lose? That is the key, right? That is the key. So that's probably the attribute. And I relay that to everything now. So when
Mm.
I start new things, when I go to yoga and it's not quite working, I got nothing to prove to anyone. I just lay down. I just have a rest. I readjust and I get back at it.
So, oh, there's so much in that I want to pull apart. One thing I want to pull, which kind of leads in, oh, your brain, I love it. I remember once you telling the story, and I'm wondering where the part of your resilience comes with that. And we want to talk about your Aussie Athlete program you're working because it's kind of part with that. You weren't funded for 20 years, sponsored to be a world-class athlete. You door knocked and raised the money to fund yourself to go to how many Olympics? You must have got knocked down and thought some days I'm not fucking winning.
Mm.
How many times? Was that part of building that, the idea of what resilience is? Was that part of shaping that, do you think? Even out of the game?
Absolutely. And we didn't call it resilience back then. We
No.
just, we called it toughen the frick up and get
Yeah,
right.
get on with it. Bloody oath.
Like, ultimately it's keeping one eye on the prize and one eye on the process. You find people that are all about process and, oh, don't think about the outcome, follow the process. But if you put your head down and do that, you look up and you're, 500 miles from where you wanted to be. So I truly believe that you need the draw of the goal, the juice, whatever that is. It can be material, depending on where you are in your life. It can be
Yeah.
materialistic, like a car or a house or a boat or a trip,
Or
or
a new surfboard.
or a new surfboard. Yours in the background looks beautiful.
Thank you.
Or as you and not or, it's an and. You can run, I want to save the world at the same time, right? So you have to keep your own cup full to be able to overflow into other people. And so if I go back to where you started with the question, there's a myth that when you represent Australia, everything's paid for. That's an assumption. The myth is that everybody makes money when you're the best in the world. Now, I retired after 5 Olympics, $300,000 in debt, no superannuation, because you don't get paid to be an athlete. I call myself a professional beggar. You literally have to go around with a little tin can and try and ask people for free stuff or money, like whether it's a fruit tray, a meat tray, petrol, travel, free physio, free massage. Because if you don't make money, then the best way to get feel like you're having money is to just not pay for the stuff you have to pay for to be a professional athlete. So I learned about profit and loss and balance sheets and how to run a little business, which was me at the time. I didn't know that it's replicable as you go forward, right? So even after winning a gold medal, the promise was, especially in your home country, which if we pause and think about Brisbane 2032, I'm worried for that next when they finish that, we were told, get to the promised land, win a gold medal, and you'll have everything. And then we did that, Jen. We did. We got to the promised land. We won the gold medal. We had the most amazing time. We learnt all these life skills. We got a good tracksuit. I didn't even stay in the village. That's a whole other story. We stayed outside of the village, closer to Bondi. And then we stand there with our little hands out trying to get, do we get something? What do we get? And there's not much, right? We do get some things, but it's not relative to a career or a life, or no superannuation or no future, no health insurance. So all of that went on and nothing has changed as we move forward. So I had to do that for 20 years, and now I'm teaching the next generation to do it with an initiative for my legacy called the Aussie Athlete Fund.
Yeah. So two things. One, do we dig straight into the Aussie Athlete Fund, or is that, I guess part of that is that transition as well? So the Aussie Athlete Fund is to get them to the Olympics, for instance. But then I really want to talk about the exit, because you work so much with athletes post games and things as well.
Yeah, there's a real continuum, like if you look at life, and this is where if women are transitioning in any area of their life, right? If there's a change in career, back in our day in 1975 when I was born, so I'm 50, and I'm moving into the second half of my life. I feel like I'm a cricketer. Now, we couldn't play cricket back then, so I played a sport called Vigoro because they didn't let girls play cricket. And so I feel like I've raised my bat, I've tipped my hat, I got to 50, I'm halfway, and I got the next 50 years. And back in the old days, you would get one job and you'd stay with it until you got the gold watch or nothing on exit, right? And my dad worked in the same job for 40 years, and my mum was a domestic engineer or a housewife. So she was an infant swim teacher at private people's houses for 40 years, like teaching babies and kids to swim. So nowadays, and especially if you've woken up at 50 like me and having a midlife crisis going, well, what do I do next? What can I attract for myself? Remember, you've got to fill your own cup up first. And what can I give of myself as service? And there's a great balancing act there, because I often find even if you don't have much, most women want to still give because it's our motherly instinct, right? So it doesn't have to be money either. I learned through my journey through philanthropy that it's 3 T's: time, talent, or treasure. Now, treasure is different for everyone. So you can give of your time as a volunteer, you can give of your talent, of your services, or you can give of your treasure, which for some people is money. So they like to give their treasure, but it could be surf lessons, could be yoga lessons. There's plenty to unpack there, but the key is the transition into something else. And how do you move into something you're not as familiar with, which often breeds more doubt and fear and less confidence? So how do we transfer that confidence that you had in one part of your life? Now, we all, as women in this age, would have been confident in something. Could have been mothering, giving birth, walking on the beach. Drop your level of expectation on your rules. Walking on the beach is a win, right? and take that level of confidence through your posture, through your mindset, which is where it all really falls apart for most people. It is a practice on your mindset of consistent, daily appreciation, gratitude, uplifting of yourself and others. Because if you're having trouble with yourself, uplift others, and then it'll kind of wash back over you like the waves just lapping up on the shore. So there is so much work to be done, Jen. It's a work and it's a exploration but if you go back to what I said before, an eye on the prize, if you know what you want and you know where you want to go, and I'll pause there because if you don't, then that's the work. And then it's an eye on the process. What do I need to do? Do being action. Who do I need to involve in that? How can I build a little team, a support team, even one person? Who am I going to talk to about this? Who's going to have my back? And then start filling your backpack with the skills, the tools, the resources, relearn, unlearn, learn
Be
new things,
curious.
be curious, and all those things.
Yeah.
Be
Are you
badass. Be bad.
totally badass?
Yeah.
Badass sounds fun. Badass sounds better than badass.
Yes.
No, some words like ass has to be ass or nasty has to be nasty, not nasty. Be
Like it, Jeff.
badass. Are you big on celebrating the little wins? So
One,
when you're talking about still keep all, the big goal in mind and everything, because that gets my brain. My brain can do the little baby dopamine hits.
yes, 100% milestones. Put more, like I said to you, I win at everything. So I'm actually having milestone wins daily.
Yeah.
Because if you imagine trying to be an Olympian or a Paralympian, because we have the Olympics and Paralympics coming, and you have to wait 4 years before you win,
Oh,
and you have one shot every 4 years to win, and then you miss it, and you got to wait another 4 years. Like, I'll go back to that. Like most athletes, no, not most, all, I guarantee you, every single athlete goes to bed at night wanting to win. No one, if you find me an athlete that says, Jen, I dreamt about coming second my whole life, it was awesome, I guarantee you won't find one. Now, coming second is amazing at that level, and we always find ways to justify it because our dream was still trying to win. So the aspiration is always winning, and therefore you have to find ways. I'll challenge everyone to find 4 ways or 4 opportunities a day to celebrate yourself and win. And if you can do that, the bigger wins or the bigger prize, because it compounds like interest, like a bank account. 4 wins a day, 365 days a year, times 4. That's how many wins you've had by the time you get to try and win the Olympic gold medal. Now, when I say Olympic gold medal for you and your listeners, it's the prize, right?
I caught one wave surfing this morning.
The winner.
I know. I really was. I was like, it lasted seconds, but it was like, I fucking caught that wave.
And I would go one step back, Jen, and say, you getting in the water is a win.
Totally.
Right?
And getting up at 4:30 to get there.
Yeah.
All that. Yeah,
So
they're
now,
all wins.
if you shift your mindset to that and truly celebrate that with a visceral response, remember, we've got to pull the feeling in, the energy in, the passion in, and not just go, oh, that's not really a win. Half your
I
brain.
know. I see people not letting themselves be excited about
Yes.
life. I think, fuck off. Like, really, show it. Show it on your face. Show it on your body.
Totally. So, if you've watched Ted Lasso, have you watched Ted Lasso?
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you haven't, I encourage you to. And if you think it's a little bit silly, then keep watching.
It's quirky.
He's got the Believe up on the thing for the sport, right? So up on the wall, top of your wall, they high five Believe. There's someone in there that doesn't quite like it. They ripped up the sign. They stuck the sign back together. This is life, right? You pick your word, whether it's winning, whether it's passion, whether it's belief, whether it's gratitude, whether it's love. Pick your word and put it above your door or on your desk like Jen does, and then celebrate it. Celebrate that all the time, right? Like every time you get an opportunity to celebrate your word, you should be high five yourself. It's a clap. Most people do golf claps in silence. No, stick that left hand up, whack that with the right hand, and that's a self high five and a celebration. It keeps that dopamine hit. It keeps all of that coming so that it encourages and inspires you to go on to do the next one.
Yeah, that's so cool. It's people keep waiting for the magic just to fall in and then go, cool, now I'll do it. Whether it's the big goal or just even the opportunity for a goal, instead of being, I'm curious what it'll be like to paddle out on the waves today when everything says it'll be shit. I can still catch one wave and it's like, got that one.
I love it.
And then
Love
celebrate
it.
it.
I love watching all the pictures of you in the surf too, and your little unicorn
Yeah.
brand on your surfboard. I love it. It's great. And making it colorful and engaging your whole being in that with logos, even for yourself, even your own sticker for your car. And that for me is what I love about life. That's what I love about you. You're all in, whether you face plant on the wave
Doesn't matter. All in.
or you don't get a wave, or but being out there and getting, like you said, how do you relate that to your life? What's your surfing moment, or what's your beach volleyball moment for those listening, where you get to say, actually, that's I kicked ass today and I was badass.
I remember you saying you used palm olive gold soap.
You love it. Like when we want whatever you want in your life, which is the prize for us was an Olympic gold medal, right?
Yep.
We surrounded ourselves with everything that represented that because I'm a big believer in the vision boards. I'm a big believer in things you can touch, feel, smell, activate all of your senses. So we surrounded ourselves with gold. Everything in my life was gold. Gold toothbrush, gold sheets, gold toasters, gold Ugg boots, gold sunglasses, gold car, gold watch. Everything was gold. I even washed in palmolive gold soap so that I could smell it. I still do. I take it with me everywhere. I feel golden. I wash myself in gold. I would eat gold. You know, when you get the gold flecks on a piece of cheesecake, I'm like, I'm eating that one. And now you can actually buy edible gold.
Yeah, gold leaf. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just immersing yourself and in every part of your DNA
Mm.
into the thing you want most in life, whether it's walking the Camino like Jen has, whether it's a snow trip to your favorite Swiss Alps, and just that is what you put there, and then you surround yourself with all the images of that, and you just never give up, and you'll fall over and you'll get back up, and you won't have enough money because you want to go first class, like not economy or business. You actually want to go first, and now you got to raise more money. Whatever it is for you, that get yourself a piece of gold soap, and it'll remind you of the journey.
The gold life. Talk to us about the Brisbane Olympics that are coming up 2032. You've been really actively part of that for them to help win the bid and now you've morphed into that next part, which is helping athletes do it. What does still immersing yourself in that whole Olympic conversation? I remember you saying to you once an Olympian, always an Olympian.
Yeah, and that's a big motto for us because when someone says former Olympian, I'm like, actually, no, I ooze Olympism, and I'm an Olympian, and that's how I live my life. About everything from goal setting to how to pursue the goal to respect of referees and partner. Like the Olympic values are friendship, respect, and excellence, and I do believe that I live those. I then get to add my own, which are adventure, connection, and winning, right? So they're my three that I live by daily, and I love an adventure. I say yes to things that scare me. I even went horse riding yesterday, and don't. Every time I've got on a horse, I've ended up off the horse, so I don't go very often. But I say yes to things that scare me to just make sure I live life to the fullest, and I know you do that too, and it's the best way to live. So I am an Olympian. I will always be at the age of 8. I would have said I was an Olympian living the values because that was when the dream started. I'm now 50, so for 42 years, there's a poet called Rupert McCall, a sports poet, and he wrote The Green and Gold Malaria, and it was about getting bitten by a mosquito and being infected in the green and gold. It's the best poem. And so that's how I feel I live my life. So when we talk legacy, the legacy of Kerry and I winning the gold medal from 25 years ago was potentially, when you think proximal and close by, was beach volleyballers playing, and we new beach volleyball generation. So that was Taliqua and Maria Fay winning a silver medal in Tokyo 2020, which happened in 21 because of COVID. And then you go into the next phase of, well, how do I play a bigger game than that? And I was part of the bid team for 2021 when we won Brisbane 2032. And now, then I sat on the board for 3 years and saw all of that unfold. So at a leadership level, stewarding the games, there's been a whole government change. They've shrunk the board. Now I sit on an advisory capacity for sport and athletes for Brisbane 2032. So heavily involved, trying to make a better outcome and change. I've got 7 years left to change the game for the athlete pursuit, right? How do we deal with their super? How do we get them paid something? How do we have them have life better during and after, on and off the court? Ironically, at the horses yesterday, we rode retired race horses. And I felt like a racehorse myself, that because the lady Lisa from Racing Heart said that the racehorses just want to sleep and stand still. I said, yeah, that's me too. I'm a retired athlete that just wants to stand still and hence I love my yoga now to bring in the balance. But so I played the bigger game with the event. I've seen how much money is coming in. There's a $5 billion drop for the Olympic and Paralympics in Queensland in 2032.
Coming in from the federal government or from where?
Coming in from the whole economy to run the
okay, yep.
So it comes from the International Olympic Committee, comes from federal government to build stadiums, local government to build stadiums, state government. Big number. But Jen,
the athletes don't get it.
How much the athletes are
getting?
Not
a fucking cent.
Exactly.
Oh, it's so wrong. Other countries, they pay their athletes.
Exactly. And this is a problem because every country is different. Every sport is different. It makes it very complex, very complicated, very difficult to solve this complex problem. But I've taken it on myself personally.
Yeah, bloody legend.
Green and gold backpack on and help. I figured, again, top down, bottom up, help one athlete at a time. Like picking up the starfish, if you know that starfish.
Yeah, that story. Tell the story for those who don't know the starfish story, but yeah.
Well, I'll truncate it and then you can Google it. It literally is about having hundreds of starfish washed up on the beach, and they say it was a little boy and a grandfather walking along the beach, and the grandfather was picking up. Now I might get this wrong. He was picking up the starfish and throwing it back. One at a time, and the little boy said, "Granddad, what are you doing that for? There's no way you can get all these starfish back in, making a difference. You can't make a difference to all these starfish." And Granddad leant over, he picked up the starfish, he threw it back, and he said, "But I make a difference to that one." And it's one at a time, so I'm helping athletes one at a time, from the BMX rider at Ipswich to the Taekwondo athlete in Melbourne to a swimmer in Ballarat, to all over Australia, divers in Adelaide, to try and help them raise because Jen, here's the part. Sometimes they've got to buy their own green and gold jersey. Can you imagine?
What?
Can you imagine being...
The sport, the Olympic doesn't give them that's no.
So the Olympic part is all covered. But
okay, the Olympic uniformy thing, yeah.
That's once every 4 years, and that is looked after, and that is fantastic. So all of our Aussie athletes for Brisbane 2032 will be flown to Brisbane, taken care of for accommodation, food, tracksuits, experience, all of that.
Yep.
But that's your 2-week time slot.
Block of 4 years, yeah.
You got to qualify. You got to get through all of that other stuff. Coaches, physios, travel, accommodation. You know how hard it is to go overseas for a holiday. Try and do that for the hockey tournament in Holland or the water polo tournament in Hungary.
For 4 years to qualify.
And it's often more than once a year. So imagine you get a letter that says, "Jen, congratulations, you've just made the Australian water polo team, and it's going to cost you $10,500 for the privilege." Now, it is a privilege, and but it shouldn't come at a cost, a detrimental financial cost to families and athletes. So that's what I'm tackling, and that's why I've started the Aussie Athlete Fund. So I'm from philanthropists, governments, corporates, communities, the small donations, micro donations,
Hmm.
all the way up to philanthropists that are genuinely wealthy, that are willing to give. We've found a way to build connections to then match them to athletes or help buy their jerseys or help buy their bike, and make sure that they have the best chance to be on the team for 32.
How can the average person who's listening to this get involved in that? Like, we'll put the links, in the show notes. So scroll down when you're listening to this, wherever you listen to podcasts, and there'll be a link to Nat's page, and the Aussie Athlete is on there. But how can the average person? Is it donations that you need?
Yeah, it's donations. So you'll have my website link,
Yep, absolutely.
AussieAthleteFund.com. Then there'll be a donate now. Any donation from a cup of coffee a week or 1 cup of coffee, right? Reoccurring monthly donations. It could be $10 a month, Jen. It will change the life if we can gather a critical mass to do that. If you own a business, if you're a philanthropist, which means you would like to give time, treasure, or talent, then you can reach out through that website too and say, hey, Nat, I listened to your podcast and I'd love to see if there's a way to support. Because you might own a bike store and you're like, I'll give you a bike. You might own a surfboard store and you can give Jen, me, and the athlete a board. Ripper.
Totally.
Yeah, so drum and golf as an example, and that's a space I love because it's a place where every single athlete can play the one game. We all go and play golf, water polo, taekwondo, boxing, table tennis, volleyball, we all play. So the CEO of Drummond Golf was amazing. He said, what do you need? And I said, I've got a blind golfer actually, and he needs a new kit. And so they gave him a brand new set of clubs and they fitted him out and made him feel like he was like as good
That's
as
so cool.
Cameron Smith. And they're the types of things we do as well. And we just match through life.
Love it. Love it. So my thing is all about being the present day wise woman, which you really are one. And you live mindfully to help others. You're a mentor, a legacy builder, and a mum. And what wisdom do you want to pass on to the women rising behind you?
Mhm. Well, you use the word legacy, and that's a word that gets thrown around a lot.
It does
And
get thrown around, quite not
it,
really lived into, hey?
no, and I think if you really sit down and I love writing, drawing. I have my journals. I've got plenty of journals for different topics now. I used to have one journal for everything, and now I actually have my Aussie Athlete Fund journal. I have my Nat Cook um, kick-ass, badass person journal. I have all of the bits and pieces that I do. And the legacy, you need to really sit down and understand the why. We know Simon Sinek's why. I've often arm wrestled with him, not physically, but metaphorically, about whether the why or the what comes first. I'm a big believer on a target and a goal. And if you know what you want, then you can understand the why circle around it. So they're very interchangeable for me and very important. So there's a book that I read called Legacy, and I encourage still the book club, right? The book club, real books, as well, because of the touch and feel, kinesthetic. However, if it's audible, fine. I can't hear a book because it just goes in one ear and out the other. But if I hold the book and highlight the book, now this book called Legacy is about men's rugby union with the All Blacks. So it's not women's sport. It's the All Blacks, which are against the Wallabies and the Aussies. And it's rugby union, which is not my
Who
favorite.
plays rugby union? I know.
Not my favorite sport, except rugby sevens is now in the Olympics, which is awesome. So sometimes, it was about what attracted me to the book was learning from the best in the world. They were a dynasty when they wrote the book, and it's about how the lessons of the All Blacks can help business and life, the business of life, right? So what I did was read it with a lens of, there was one sentence. The point of this is there'll be a sign like volleyball trip to Canada and America, and I read Disneyland. You don't even have to read the actual words. It's whatever it means to you and the reframe. I read the book Legacy, and it said an All Blacks job was to leave the black and white jersey in a better place. And I read my job is to leave the green and gold jersey in a better place, which A is why you'll notice why I do all sports, not just beach volleyball.
Yeah.
And B, why I love the green and gold so much, because it just oozes through me, and that's what I love to do. So the wisdom for those following in all industries, in all areas, whatever your passion is to find that sentence that's going to drive you, the legacy moment, and really dig deep into why that's important to you, and then build the plan. It took me a while to get to the Aussie Athlete Fund. I had a charity called Live Out Loud, and it was about getting kids moving. And then life just adjusts things, and all of a sudden I really found it's complete alignment. I think about it when my head hits the pillow. I think about it when I wake up. I think about it all day of how can I help our next generation in the green and gold. So when you find that, you'll know.
Mm.
And until you find it, just keep living the authentic, badass life and fill your own cup first, because when you're full, you will find your legacy moment, and you will just never struggle a day in your life again, because you'll know exactly why you're doing what you're doing.
Mm. What's one thing we should have talked about today and haven't yet that you really want to speak into?
That's a great question, Jen. Yeah, that's an Oprah moment. Um, uh, we touched on it, but do the thing that scares you. You have to expand like a rubber band. You have to expand your comfort zone. We're in a phase of our life after 50 that you could be complacent. You could say, I'm tired, and I still do that. And you could not step out of your comfort zone. But I encourage you to do something after you've listened to this podcast in the next week. Do something that sort of scares you a little bit or makes you pee with excitement. Um, that that enables you to stretch. It's never too late, even at 100. It's never too
Well,
late.
comfort kills us.
Yeah. Well, that's what they say. If you're not growing, then you're
You're
dying.
dying. Yeah.
So whether it's a new hobby, whether you'd like to go to the driving range and play golf, whether you want to try and surf like Jen does, whether you want to walk more on the beach, um, or whether you want to jump out of a plane or get on a horse or race a go-kart or race a Porsche or something that has your adrenaline go, because and the reason being, because in that space, when your adrenaline is high and you're going, holy shit, this scares me, or oh my
Yeah.
God, this is so cool, you will find new spaces in your mind and body for you to explore that you didn't know was there, that you might have not, you might be remembering, you might be going back into a spot you used to be in and sort of rekindling that. And the world needs us to, that tiny little ember of spark that you might have had, if you don't have it now, sort of blow on it. We have to get this going so that you're creating a light and a fire in yourself and others that can change the world in
Yes.
whatever area you choose. I've chosen sport, and I've chosen changing kids' lives through sport. But whatever you choose, we need you to go out there and live your fullest life, because you can make a difference one starfish at a time.
Jane Goodall died this week as we record this. And I found a quote of hers about the jigsaw. She was asked, like, who are you, one person to help? And she said that she sees life as a jigsaw. And if we all do our piece, the jigsaw fits together, and that's how we bring change. So I can never discount that, that one starfish, that who am I to do what I do? we all get to do our piece.
Yeah, I used to have a puzzle piece as a necklace, actually, for
Ah,
not for that specific story, but it was a how do I make sure I fit the puzzle? How do I do my best to be a teammate and to be part of the puzzle?
mm,
And yeah, ironically, that happened this week, Jen, because I then went out and had an experience with horses, animals that she's so passionate about.
mm,
I don't think I've been near a horse for, 15 years, and it just happened to be in the week that her spirit's still here and her
yeah,
physical body's left, but I actually was channeling Jane on the horse on
love it.
what would Jane do? And that's ultimately a question. Our life is made up by answers, and our answers can be determined by the quality of our question. So make sure that your questions are good. So on the horse, I literally said, "How would Jane ride this horse?" And it was peaceful, it was connected, and so that's what you can ask yourself. Find your wise mentor women. One of them's Jen. If you're listening to these
One of
podcasts,
them's Nat.
one of them's now me, and you go in any environment, you go, actually, what would Jen do right now? And Jen would fall off a surfboard going, woo, I caught a wave, right?
Totally do. But when
And
I started, I didn't.
mm,
And then I saw the value. It was like I can either beat myself up because I used to fall off, or I go, yoo, and it actually enjoy it all.
and that's it. How do you enjoy the whole ride?
Yeah.
How do you enjoy the 4:30, the wetsuit, the cold water?
Cold water this morning.
Yep. An easy way, pee in your wetsuit
I
fixes
do
everything.
that.
Yeah.
We all
Um,
do.
we all do. Anyone that tells you they don't is lying to you.
Totally. It cracks
Um,
me up that sitting here in my clothes right now, I would not think I'm just going to pee myself. And yet it's a zillion percent acceptable that I pee myself as soon as I get my wetsuit on. Yes.
totally. And tell you a little secret. Don't tell
Oh,
anyone though.
okay.
Just you and me. When we play beach volleyball, sitting in the plastic chairs in the bikini, we have no facilities. We have porta potties, an ocean, a palm tree. So when we do a timeout and it's so hot in Brazil, it's 50 degrees, there's a hole in the plastic chairs, Jen. And you pour the water down. Guess what else goes out the
You're
chair?
peeing at the same time.
Right in front of the TV and right in
I
front of
love,
everyone
I'm
else.
going to look for that in future.
Yeah,
That's
don't you
gold.
worry
I
about
love
that.
it. Ah, Nat Cook, if you could go back to your 18-year-old self, or let's even say the age that it was pre-Disneyland trip, with your today's wise, wisdomy life experiences, what would you say to yourself? What piece of advice would you give her?
Oh, well, you just talked about it. It's not beating myself up. So if I turn that around on a reframe, be compassionate to yourself, to myself as a young teenage girl trying to go through sexuality, sport, wearing bikinis, trying to win on a world stage, trying to find my place. Have compassion for self and others, and the world would be a better place, right? If we look at what's going on right now, compassion for self and others. And then if I think about, so I've got a 10-year-old daughter, she turns 10 next week, and I then think, can I the words were, can I make it softer for her? And actually, that's not the right thing. Like, can I make life softer? Like, I literally, metaphorically, would run in front of her and put pillows down in case she fell
Mm,
over, right? And ultimately, if I had been more compassionate with myself and others, would I have got to the top of Everest? Maybe not. But that'd be the advice. Didn't I can't tell you that I would have been able to do it because of the IQ and EQ and all of that, but that would have absolutely been the advice. Be more compassionate to self and others, and maybe I would have had one less time I beat myself up, and I would have been a bit taller one more day.
I think that's a great piece of advice for every woman listening to this right now. Be more gentle with yourselves.
Mm.
Yeah, it's huge. Nat Cook, I fucking love you. I really do. Thank you for sharing your
Right
wisdom
back
today.
at you, Jen. Love you too.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. I will put all the links for people to be able to find you and the Aussie Athlete. Now, what's your favorite way for people to follow you? Are you a big LinkedIn?
I'm a LinkedIn
person-y thing, or what are you?
I'm a LinkedIn person. I try and be professional on there. That's my LinkedIn. If I was nailing, it took me a while to get on Facebook, Jen. I was nailing it. And then the day I nailed it, someone said, that's for old people. You need to go on Instagram. And I went, no.
Yeah, my following on Facebook is 4 times the size of what it is on Instagram. It is. It's the 50 plus.
Totally. And I love Facebook. I love the platform. It's easy. I'm more familiar.
Same.
And then I got that thing where you could do both at the same time. I thought Ripper, and then somebody said, actually, they're two different languages. And I went, stuff is all. I'm just doing LinkedIn and posting whatever I want to both Facebook and Insta. So
Mine are linked. I put the same shit everywhere.
yeah, right
Yeah.
back at you. I
Yeah.
reply to most things, although I do get confused at where people wrote to me. So if I'm not writing back, it's because I've forgot, and I will get there at some point because I'm more compassionate to myself and others.
I love it. Well, we will put your links to everything. So as you're listening to this, scroll down from whatever, Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening to this, and check out Nat. She's worth checking out. She's worth following. This chick's got some wisdom. Thank you, gorgeous woman.
Pleasure. Be badass today, like Jen and I. Go and do something badass.
Always badass. Love you.